Hello, today I'm going to do a continuation video of pattern B6848. I am going to make t-shirt B in this pattern, and I'm going to use this particular fabric here. It's a soft cotton. It says teeny time, and I thought it would be great for the spring or summer. So I am going to show you step by step how to pin the pattern pieces down and how to cut it out to make your t-shirt. These are my pattern pieces needed to make the t-shirt, which is pattern piece number 3, which is the neckband, number 5, which is the sleeve, pattern piece 2, which is the back of the t-shirt, and pattern piece 1, which is the front of the t-shirt. So I am going to start with pattern piece 2, which is the back of the t-shirt. And we have to cut one on a fold here. Whenever you see center back on fold on your pattern piece, you know that you have to cut this particular pattern piece on a fold. What I like to do is I like to kind of cut my, when I do my fabric, you could have folded this whole piece over so you can see the whole portion, but I like to section it off so that I could cut this particular part of my pattern out. So since it's placed on a fold here, you would have to make sure that your fabric is sort of faced in this direction, because once you cut it out and you open it up, you're going to see why this particular pattern piece was placed on a fold. So what you're going to do is get your pattern piece and make sure that your fabric is smooth, and you are going to pin your fabric piece down on the material. So I also like to make sure that when I'm cutting to the top portion of the pattern that I have enough fabric to cut the top and the bottom portion. So I kind of look underneath as well. And what you're going to do, you're going to place it on your fabric, and you're going to use your pins, your straight pins, and to pin it down. So you're just going to pin like this. If you're a beginner sewer, it's probably going to be a little, I would say, I don't want to say complicated, but you may have problems because you're just learning how to sew and pin down the actual pattern pieces on the pattern. But I've been sewing for over 15 years. Some people use a rotary cutter. I actually prefer using the scissors to cut my pieces out. So, you know, whatever you're comfortable with, you could do. And I'm just pinning the pieces down on the fabric. Okay, so I have that pattern on the center fold, and I'm going to cut this pattern out to the size 16. I'm not altering the size of the t-shirt. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut. And I'm going to start. It doesn't matter where you start. I just usually start from the bottom. And what you're going to do is just follow that line to cut. And in my previous videos, you see where you have this notch portion here. What I do is I kind of like just cut that portion out like that. And I know it's a little. That's not my neatest notch that I've done, but I'm just doing that just to kind of show you. And then I'm going to come to the top portion and just start cutting that notch there. And you have your back portion cut out. So you could remove the pins now, or you could remove it later. But let me just show you. So basically what you're doing is making sure that you have it cut to the exact size of the pattern. You have your notches cut out there. Everything's aligned and it's cut on the fold. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the pins out to show you why they say to cut this particular piece of the pattern on the fold. So, as you know, when you have your back of your t-shirt, you're cutting it on a fold so that you could have that fold back displayed like this. So just kind of did that to show you. And this is the faux back piece of your pattern piece, just so that you could see it. And now I have pinned down the front of the t-shirt. And this is also cut on the fold as well. So what I did to preserve my fabric is that I just folded the opposite end in this direction and just placed the pattern piece on top of the fabric. And you would just cut the same way. Make sure that you're cutting out your notches and follow the same steps as I did when I cut out the back of the t-shirt. And now I have cut out the full front portion of my t-shirt. And I'm going to remove the pins to show you exactly how the front portion would look since it's cut on the fold there. Also, make sure that you have your notches cut out. Okay, and if you was to remove your pattern here, set that to the side, and then this would be the front portion of your t-shirt here. And this is your front portion. And then I'll show you how to cut out the other two pieces of your t-shirt. So now I am to the part where I'm cutting out my sleeve. And as you notice with the sleeve, this is not on a cut on a fold, it's cut on a selvage. So I will have two separate pieces instead of one conjoined piece. So I am going to lay my fabric, lay the pattern on the fabric. And now I'm going to pin this down. And if you have weights, you could use weights as well to hold this down if you're using a rotary cutter. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start up here. As I mentioned in a previous video, I am going to lengthen my arms. So I'm just going to start to cut. Make sure I cut my notches. And I'm going to show you, because as you can see, you have this portion right here that's a little longer than this portion here. I'm just going to show you how I'm going to just cut that straight on down. And what you're going to do is just kind of like, just cut it straight like that. And I'm just going to kind of like and I'm just going to come up from the opposite direction and cut. And your notches don't have to be perfect, just as long as you have them, just as long as you cut them so that you can know when you're matching it up to sew, you'll know where to align your other pieces of the portion for the t-shirt. Okay, so that's this portion cut out, which is a sleeve. Like I said, the notches don't have to be perfect. It's just so that you could kind of pin it to the other sections of your t-shirt to sew it. So I'm going to remove my pins here. Okay. And for your sleeve, you're going to have two separate pieces. So these are your two separate pieces, and you're not cutting these pieces on a fold. So just kind of like separated them so you could kind of see what the two separate pieces look like. And this is for the either left or right side of your t-shirt here. So I'm just going to put it back, just so I'll know once I start sewing the t-shirt. And this is the last piece, which is the neck band. And if you could see here, you're supposed to cut one piece for this pattern piece here. And you notice how it has stretch, since I'm working with stretch material. And basically, you know, you have, you know, that when you pull this way, you get some stretch, and this way you get some stretch. So I am just going to find or lay this pattern piece down to cut one piece. So I'll find a good portion of the fabric, pin it down, and then show you guys. And this is that neckband piece that has been pinned down and ready to cut. And if you notice on this particular pattern piece, it has various notches. You got it for the size 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. What you're going to do when you cut this piece out here, you're going to cut the notch to the size that you're making the t-shirt. So I am going to once you cut this portion here, we're making a size 16. So I'll cut the notch there and then continue on to cutting the remainder of this pattern piece. And this is the last piece that has been cut for your t-shirt. Like I said, this is just one pattern piece. You don't have to worry about if it's not really cut to perfection, as long as you do the best that you can to follow along the straight lines. Because once you sew the actual t-shirt, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now you have all of your pattern pieces cut out to make your t-shirt. Thanks for watching. I will probably do another video on actually making the t-shirt step by step. So just give me a thumbs up and I look forward to doing the other video. Thank you.